said I'd take it to the HUD. Tony's been trialling for over 30 years at least, and he's slowly been getting close to winning and winning. And when he won here last year, you could see the smile as wide as heaven.
Okay, so we have our final competitor now in this Champion of Champions competition, Tony Elliott, with his dog Gundagai Frosty. They were the 2021 Canberra National winners. Tony's been trialling for a good number of years. Frosty's only a young dog, 2.5-year-old, and was bred by Tony. Tony's a very accomplished handler, been trialling for a good number of years, and he and his wife Beryl have travelled extensively around Australia with their dogs. But unfortunately with COVID, they haven't been able to travel and trial as much as they would have liked in the last 12 months. And Frosty did a nice cast down the ground. Once again, we have a white border collie out there. So Tony's trying to get these sheep to come down the ground in as straight a line as possible. We've had 6 competitors in this Champion of Champions competition. First out was Stephen Cross from South Australia. He scored a 78 with Echo Park Bazza. Then we had Roy Potterkerry from Queensland working Delray Eddie. They scored 73. Mick Hudson from New South Wales working Richie's Finn had a score of 59. And then we had Michael Depler from Victoria working Claremont Joe. They had a score of 50. And the last competitor that was on the ground was Peter Gorman from Western Australia working Koshi's Dusty, and they had a score of 54. So the score that Tony's trying to beat here in this Champion of Champions competition is 78. At the moment they've got these sheep walking quite nicely. You'll hear Tony's got quite a series of whistles that he uses on his dogs. Each of those whistles gives the dog a different command, and he also uses his voice as well. He's got these sheep now coming up towards the D. Of course, Tony can't leave that casting peg until he knows those sheep have gone around or gone into that D that's marked on the ground, which I think from where I'm sitting they may have gone in there now. And Tony will be trying to get those sheep into a nice position before he steps away. Okay, so those sheep are now positioned nicely in the corridor on Tony's right-hand side. He's trying to get Frosty to keep them in that corridor. Doesn't want them to get too far out of the corridor or too far behind, because he will be losing points. Because he started with 100 points, the same as every competitor has during this championship. Each state has their own course that they work, and the Canberra course is one that is designed for this trial. It has a lot of New South Wales components in it, but it is also just a little bit different. So one of the challenges for the competitors, every state that they go to, they have different courses and different rules that you need to learn, but at the end of the day they're still working 3 sheep. Tony's got these sheep going quite nicely up the corridor. They've gone a little bit in front of him now. Frosty's gone down and has covered the sheep. He doesn't want them to go break too far down the ground. So Tony's now heading towards that winding peg, the first one that you'll see down the bottom of the ground there. He's elected not to stop. He's kept on going to the second one. Those sheep are in a nice position within that corridor, and Frosty's doing a nice job keeping them on course. So they're heading now towards that second winding peg. Once again, they're in a nice spot. Tony's nearly taken himself out on that winding peg. He's now walking towards the race. He's just trying to keep those sheep up to him, doesn't want to let them get too far behind him. So Tony's now in position. The race has proven quite difficult for the last few handlers. The sheep haven't wanted to go in there. Tony Elliott is our last competitor for today, and he's also our last competitor in this Champion of Champions competition. So again, the sheep are interested in the dog. The white dog seems to be drawing the sheep's attention today. There we go, they've done a great job there though, as they've negotiated through that first obstacle, the race. And they're now heading towards the bridge. So Frosty's just trying to keep them in that corridor, keep them walking nicely.
It would be entirely appropriate for last year's champion to be champion here twice.
Tony's now in his position there at the race. Got John Eade sitting next to me, and he's just commenting it'd be nice to see Tony win again, being the winner from last year. They've got them nicely positioned there at the bridge. Being a South Australian though, I am a little bit biased towards our first competitor out, which was Stephen Cross and his little dog Echo Park Bazza. But the dogs in this Champion of Champions competition have all shown great grit this afternoon. It's been a tough ask. The sheep have certainly asked plenty of questions of the dogs. And Paul Darmody's been there, well up to the task of judging this competition. And sheep are at the bridge, they're in that mouth of the bridge. Tony's a very experienced stockman. So he'll be looking at these sheep, trying to work out which one is a leader. These days he runs Black Angus cattle on his property at Brungle Village. But I'm sure he has a few sheep there on his property as well to train his dogs. Those sheep are still just more interested in looking at the dog at this stage, not looking to see where they've got to go. There we go, always got them. There we go, did some great work there at the bridge. Well done. I'd say Tony must be starting to get a little short of time just by the tone of his voice, as he's now heading towards that final obstacle, which is of course the pen. He doesn't not want to complete. If he doesn't shut that gate on the pen, of course the 10 points value from that pen gets deducted from his score. And of course that's the game. The aim of the game is to get the sheep in the pen and to shut the gate. The sheep are quite settled. They're looking to have a feed. That can quite often make it harder for the dogs though. Oh, and they've just ducked down the side of that pen. All of the dogs have had a little bit of trouble at one obstacle or another. And there we go, he's got them at the pen. He's just trying to roll them into the pen. He can't step out until they're clear and settled in that pen, which Tony's happy that they've settled. He's stepped out as he now goes to shut the gate on the pen. So that's our final competitor today, which is Tony Elliott working Gundagai Frosty. Well done, Tony.
Thank you for your courtesy of coming. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. I'll return this to
So that was Tony Frosty. You've got a great cheer. Well done, Tony. Well done, Frosty. I'll give you their score as soon as it comes to hand. I have been asked to...
That was pretty good.
Tony Elliott, take a bow. Champion of champions is still on the ground. Frosty, the little dog Gundagai Frosty, owned and bred and worked by Tony from Gundagai. 85 points. Champion of champions. Well done, Tony. What that means for Tony...